What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the 9th episode of the Backyard Quarterbacks podcast. We've got Adam Clifton in the Jaguar gear. We've got Ryan Hartle representing both Florida State and Jags today. I'm Tyler Rust representing the Gators, and we have a special guest today, Jarrod Simmons. We've all known Jarrod Simmons for a very long time, all the way back to high school, at least, maybe even a little bit longer for some of us. Was working with the Braves organization for a number of years. And with the Braves recently winning the World Series, we want to invite him on, talk a little bit about the Braves and a little bit about what he's working on now. So, Jarrod, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Man.
All you guys are longtime friends, and miss seeing you guys obviously as often as we used to. But
Yeah,
Adam and I still get together on occasion, and I've been back in town for about a year, so it's been fun and stuff. But I know Hartle's over there in Tallahassee still, so. But yeah, each of these guys on this screen, Adam being probably the first one that I met when I was in middle school, would come try to rough us up at the house probably before we were getting ready for school and stuff at like 9 a.m. because he was already in school, but like skipping a class, coming to our house at like 8 a.m, 7 a.m. But no, then Hartle, and Tyler in high school, riding around with you guys, and ball obviously with you, Tyler, for a little bit, 1 year maybe, and Hartle, I think we just hung out when we could.
I threw balls over the bridge.
Yeah, we were tailgating and doing stupid stuff. I was the young one in the group. I am the young one.
We like the same age girls, I think.
That's always the case, right? Yeah.
The only difference is that they're Jarrod's age.
Oh man,
I keep getting older. They keep saying the same age. Good stuff. But yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm from Jacksonville, Arlington area as well, like these guys are.
A-Town, baby.
A-Town State. That was the original A-Town for us, was Arlington. Yeah. Cool. I got to move to the actual A-Town and live there for like 7 years, so that was awesome. But out of high school, played some college ball, JUCO, and then at Flagler in St. Augustine. After that, I worked for the Suns in town. So I spent 3 years working in the minor leagues, and literally was at the Ritz at the beach. Got a bumped into a random guy I knew from high school ball, and his fiance just got a job with the Braves, and was like, "Hey, like there's a job open. Like here's my card. Like let's talk in a couple weeks." It was the day after Christmas, so I emailed her. Literally got like the next day I applied. I got a call that night, which was crazy quick. The next day I like Skyped interviewed essentially. And then the following week I was there for an in-person interview. And the following Wednesday they hired me. And then I moved 2 weeks later. It was like the fastest process in the world. It was crazy. So yeah, I moved up there in 2014. I was in the community affairs department, essentially doing all of our community outreach with kids and families, first responders, military, all that kind of stuff. But my particular focus was on the youth baseball front, doing a lot of things with kids, camps, clinics, tournaments, but we also focused on inner city and underserved communities and trying to get more kids playing the game. When the new commissioner came on board in I think 15, he put a lot of emphasis on all these projects within the country, but also like obviously specifically inside of like big league cities. So Atlanta obviously was one. So there was just a lot of stuff that we started doing a little bit more of. And I did a ton of that throughout the years. My last full year there before the pandemic hit in 2020 was 19, and we were doing 7-8 tournaments a year, mostly paid, some were free, ran clinics throughout the year, had camps in the summer. We probably had 10,000 kids come through our programs, just not 1 year alone. It was crazy. They got to meet Braves players and ex-players and autographs here and there. They get free tickets to games. So it was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. I met a lot of cool people. I met Hank Aaron several times, had him sign autographs for the foundation. I used to do actually every year spring training. I would go down to our spring training facility. Obviously it was in Disney for the majority of my time there, but the last year I was there, we were in the new place they're in now down there in Northport, Florida. But we would get all our guys to sign stuff. So that first year I was there, it was the Upton brothers, Jason Hayward, Freddie Freeman, obviously was still there.
Which committed to Florida State. Upton brothers.
The Upton brothers, yeah. Yeah, dude, those guys were athletes. little difficult to deal with on the internal side of things. They just didn't want to do stuff, but
Yeah.
good guys. Like they were awesome and they just wanted to play ball. So I get it.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. So that first year was crazy. We were in spring training like 2 weeks after I got hired. So, or a week and a half. Like I think we had like 2 snow days, and then I was out half the week I started, and then the next week we were like flying to Orlando, and I'm like meeting all these people and these players and whatever. And no one, we know a lot of people that played and all that kind of stuff. So like I didn't think too much of it, but when I met Chipper Jones for the first time, I was like, dude, like I don't say this to anybody else, but like I loved you growing up. Like, it was really funny. That didn't happen until like mid-season. I saw him in a suite for like alumni weekend, and I got him to sign some stuff for the foundation that I worked for and stuff, obviously with the Braves Foundation. So it was a lot of fun. I loved my time there. Made some of my best friends. I lived with a guy for about 6 years that was actually he ended up being the interpreter for the team. So he's like travels with the team, knows Acuna well and Ozzy well, all those guys that are Hispanic or whatever, Latino guys. And he's a trip in himself. He's hilarious. One of my best friends, but that really made my time there. Like him and everyone else, like I just had a blast up there. I really do miss it. The pandemic cut about 60 jobs about a year ago in October. So I ended up deciding to move back home. I moved there for that job. Like that was the only reason I was up there. And obviously I grew up a Braves fan. My dad was a big Braves fan. And you guys know that he passed when I was young, freak accident. He was coaching the team at the time, was the Braves. So it just was a cool story, like for me to even be there in the first place and working and just having a great time, like living up a dream really, and living out probably a dream for others that were around me too. So one quick story about that. I don't want to be sappy, but so after my dad passed, his best friend, they used to go on this trip every year to Atlanta. And they would go watch the Braves play the Reds. My mom and her like cousins and brothers are all Reds fans. So like he had close friends that were Reds fans. So they would go see the Braves Reds series. Well, the first MLB game wasn't just a Braves game, it was an MLB game that I went to, was the Braves versus the Reds after my dad passed, with his old best friend and my uncles and my brother and all that stuff. And then the first time I gave tickets to my dad's old best friend and my uncle and all that stuff was the Braves Red Series in 2014. So I was like really cool to like kind of full circle the whole thing. Awesome. So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I spent 7 years there. I had a blast, learned a ton. I met a ton of people. I was in New York and met the guys at MLB and been to the headquarters, and it's just a really cool experience and did some cool things. I was at the All-Star game in San Diego helping out with some projects. That was a cool city, man. Such a great place. Middle of July, it's 75 degrees. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Because like this is the best place in the world. It's so hot either in Georgia or Florida, wherever you're at in the
South. Yeah, humid, right?
Yeah, and in the middle of the night, it's like 50, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm like, I need to be out here, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
A whale's vagina.
So you went to the zoo?
San Diego.
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed, right?
Yeah, so that's awesome, Jarrod. Like I mentioned, it's not often that you meet people that like work for an MLB team, much less like they happen to be like one of your best friends. So that's awesome. So you moved back to Jax. What are you doing now?
So just kind of fell into this a little bit, but a guy I used to intern for started his own business, and he was doing some work for Walk-Off Charities, which is the local nonprofit here in town that actually is doing what I was doing with the Braves, serving inner city youth, running youth baseball events, just trying to grow the game locally. And it was started by Frank Frangie, who obviously you guys know, voice of the Jags on the radio.
Legend.
Yeah, he's been around forever. Great guy.
Radio forever here.
Yeah, exactly. He's
I think
a big Gator fan too.
He started sports talk radio in Jacksonville, I believe.
Well, I think
David
Lamb was going on, but
him and David Lamb.
1010 XL was like his baby basically. So he's awesome. Very laid back, but like does his stuff well. Like I listen to him on the radio now. I used to never listen to the sports talk radio, and now I do. But yeah, he's great. But he started this charity about 4 years ago. And he grew up in the 70s and 80s when baseball was kind of in its heyday, and like the African-American athlete was like dominant in the sport. Like they won all the awards. They were the MVPs. They were Rookie of the Years. You had some guys that were just like classic dudes in the MLB, and he just started to see the decline, and really it had been kind of noticeable across the league. I think back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, I think the last time the highest percentage of African American ball players was, I think, in the 80s sometime, around 24, 25%, maybe 27%, somewhere in there. It's down to like 7% or less every year. So the dark people you see in the game, majority of them are Hispanic or Latino. But there still are some black guys playing, and they're balling out still, obviously. But I think that the thought is like, well, how come there's not more athletes that are trying to play baseball or are playing baseball at that level, right? So MLB has been attacking this issue for a while in different ways, and that's what I was involved with in Atlanta. But Frank locally decided to take that on in 2017 and started this charity, and started out doing clinics with kids. They would give away free gloves, instruction to these kids, and try to put them in a league. And then when I came on board about a year ago, officially full-time in July, so I guess 5-6 months ago now, I was helping them before I was full-time, but we started trying to figure out, like, let's go into the neighborhoods that are already doing some baseball, or maybe they had it before. And the pandemic really shut a lot of stuff down, honestly. Like
Right.
A lot of stuff didn't come back. A lot of these sports that were probably on the fringe, or, they didn't have a lot of organization, or maybe they just lacked some leadership, kind of fell apart. And so we stepped in, and we tried to hop in immediately and say, hey, who do we need to meet? We had an all-call meeting in December of last year. Met some people that kind of connected us to somebody else got us into the next person. And we're all right, like, now we had 10 different organizations or 10 different parks around, the inner city of Jacksonville, like saying, hey, like, we want to be a part of this league that you guys are doing. And I was trying to grow what Frank was doing with walk-off. So we had like a spring league with like 400 kids. It was 31 teams, ages 6 to 12. We bought uniforms for them. We spent like $20,000. I mean, stuff's not cheap. We're trying to do everything that we can to remove the barriers to entry, because baseball is an expensive sport. Like, it just is. There's a lot of equipment. You guys know, growing up and stuff, there's a lot of equipment involved,
a lot of travel,
cleats, gloves, bats, helmets, catcher's gear. Baseballs are so expensive. Batting tees, all the other stuff that comes with it. So, and not even to mention, like you just said, Tyler.
My name's Tyler.
Yeah, I know. I was saying both at the same time. I'm thinking about Kyle for some reason. Our other buddy that played ball through the minors or whatever. But anyhow, like travel ball, it's crazy. And I coach a little bit of it now. I know you coach your kid and stuff. And but man, our parents couldn't afford that. I don't think. Like, it just wasn't as crazy as it is now when we were young. And like Little League was awesome back then. It was like
and it was like basically free. It wasn't free, but it was like super cheap.
Yeah. One season was $100 or less, and probably less than that back then, you know? So
I just found out not too long ago, this year, that NCAA, each team gets 11 scholarships.
11.7.
And then 11.7. And then there's 28 plus 8 walk-ons or something like that, or
like the roster. Yeah, it's something around that.
So nobody gets a full scholarship.
Yeah, D2 is like 13 or 14. And it gets different. Like, I went to JUCO, thankfully, and it was cheaper. And they get, depending on the JUCO you go to, they have more support or less, depending. But yeah, dude, it's not easy. And it's crazy. But I think that's a lot of the reasons why some of these athletes are choosing baseball or football and basketball. Because the scholarship opportunity is nuts. Like, it's just not there, and I think one of the things, I know we want to get into other stuff about the Braves and stuff, but one of the things I think that would probably help, and we've talked about this at a major level from like the Braves perspective or whatever, is like, man, if there was just more scholarships, what if MLB subsidized scholarships across the board in some way, shape, or form, and maybe it's them and USA Baseball combined or whoever, like, that would be a big step, and maybe it's not, 10 more scholarships, maybe it's 5 or maybe it's 3, like, but even one or 2 more is a big difference, so.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this the name, image, likeness thing is going to be a kind of a thing that could help too, in some way, shape, or form, to get some recruits and stuff, but it's crazy.
That's so interesting where you got something like football that has so much money, and everybody's like, let's take it away from these schools, let's take it away from these people. And you have something like baseball, where it's like, maybe MLB can contribute or do this or that. And it's nuts. And then you get all these other countries, they're playing stickball and,
they come over here and
$1
dominate.
million contracts, for the Dominican, Cuba, wherever. So it's definitely difficult.
It's crazy.
And it's just crazy when you look, because I'm a fantasy baseball. That's the first fantasy sport I ever played. Right. It's like you look at the first round draft pick, and there's guys that they're not even playing anymore after 2 or 3 years. And you go in a basketball or you go to like football, like that's maybe Jamarcus Russell, but I mean I can't really think too many other people that are not still on a team or gets picked up from somebody else. I mean,
well, and the more difficult thing is going through the minor leagues. Like you kind of have to grind it out for 3 or 4 years, and it's really rare to make it up to the bigs faster than that. Like 2 years is probably the quickest some people have made it. In 1, maybe if you're like who was that? The pitcher that came from
Cal Hurley.
It was a couple guys, but like they were up in like a year or two. You know what I mean? They were up really quick, but those guys were 23, 24 years old when they got drafted. So they were a little bit more mature, so it's just a long haul. And we know people that have been in it and got out of it and just like, dude, it's crazy, so.
I won't say a name, but I was told it was awkward to even take a shower because there's things dangling off of knees. And when you're not equipped that way, you wait until it's kind of empty before you go in, if not wearing something else.
I feel like every white male in America is a grower, not a shower. So we're just like, hey man, we just don't got it like that.
Yeah.
We just don't got it like that.
Leave it to freaking us to go to talk from like baseball to dicks. Thanks, Ryan, for that.
Sorry.
So let's talk about the child's charity, and then we'll go right into that.
Oh, dude, I'm getting fired tomorrow. Frank,
sorry.
Jared,
Frank's like, all right.
I can edit. It might take 2 weeks, but I can edit that out.
So Jared, you and your brother got to live out another dream, go into the World Series. You guys obviously ended up winning, so huge for that. How was, because you worked at the stadium for like 7 years, right? So that place in and out, it was completely different for someone like you versus a casual fan.
Right.
How fun was that game? And like, just talk about like your experience, like, making that trip with your brother. I think the game y'all went to, unfortunately y'all lost, right?
We lost. Game 5. Dude, it was awesome. Okay. So I'll back up a hair. So I started in 2014 when the Braves announced the previous fall they were moving to Cobb County and building a new ballpark and the whole village around
Marietta Braves.
Yeah, right. It's called the Battery, right? And they ended up calling the Battery. Is an awesome place. But so I spent 3 years at Turner Field, closed it down. I actually, cool story, and this involves Hank Aaron a little bit. I was in charge of, they ceremoniously dug up home plate at Turner Field and carried it, drove it up to the new ballpark. It was at the time called SunTrust Park before Truist, they merged and became Truist. And so I had a bunch of kids from Cobb County, baseball players, that met Hank and this whole parade of crew people, like our GM and our executives, et cetera, that brought the home plate to the new home plate area of the new ballpark. So that was cool, but that was still under construction at the time. So that was the end of 16 season. So the ballpark wasn't ready until April the next year. Well, in that first year, and I told you guys this last night for a little bit where we talked, that first year, the ballpark was awesome. It was ready, but the Battery wasn't quite finished yet. There was probably 3 or 4 things open, maybe 1 or 2 bars, but the gist of the party area was ready. Right. So that was fun. I kind of mentioned that I feel like the Braves didn't lose $1 on me because I would spend my money in the Battery and they owned all the Battery stuff. And they were getting rent. So I was like, it really doesn't matter. They know I'm gonna go here and drink after the game and I ate lunch there every day almost. So never I should have been better with money. But anyhow, I had a blast. So I did get to see this whole thing kind of grow and develop to where the Battery right now is nuts. They've still been building on it even since I left. They opened up a movie theater. There's other parts of the Battery. There's a new hotel that's on property now too. the Omni's the one that's been like right next to the ballpark the whole time, but there's one down the like kind of the promenade a little bit as well. And there's like new shops and stuff. So all this stuff is just continually to grow and stuff. So it's cool to see, but I'll dial it really back one more time to 2018 when they actually made the playoffs for the first time in a while. And we weren't expected to. And that year we had Acuna was playing with us for the first time, and we played the Dodgers in the NLDS to the first round of the playoffs. And because I want to talk about that experience, because it does kind of talk about this other one too. But I remember that game. We were all so excited, obviously, to host a playoff game, and I think it was game 3. We had lost 2 in a row in LA, and we came home for game 3. And I can't remember. I think it was like the 3rd inning, maybe. Acuna is back up, but he's a leadoff guy, but he's back up in the order. The bases are loaded. He's up 3-0 in the count, right? And the guy throws like a high pitch. It's like a borderline strike. So the guy he thought it was a ball. He's like, putting his stuff down. Guy goes strike, right? So he's like, all right, next pitch, grand slam. And the place goes nuts. I wasn't even in the stands because I was like working. So we were in our break room, like our employee break room. And we're all going crazy, and we could feel the stadium like vibrating. It was nuts. Yeah. So I was like, it was such a cool, like a moment and environment situation. But like we ended up losing that series, I think like the next game or something. Or maybe we lost on the road. We won 2 at home, maybe lost on the road. I can't remember what it was. But so seeing that, and like we started doing watch parties and stuff outside in the Battery area, and there's this cool screen out there and lawn, like green space or whatever. And then in 19, we made it again, and we didn't get out of the first round of the playoffs. We lost to the Cardinals. Azuna actually was on the team and like just destroyed us. So the next year in 2020, the pandemic hit. Obviously, we didn't play any games until July, but we had Azuna on our team at that point. I got autographs from him that spring training and like whatever. We're like, oh, dude, this guy's gonna bang the ball around. We're great, right? And we had a great year in 2020 as well. Got to the playoffs, finally made it past the first round. And since 2001 was the last time they made it past the first round before last year. So that was a big deal. And then we faced the Dodgers again, and we're up 3-1 on the Dodgers. But at the time, obviously, we're not playing at home because pandemic, and they're playing everything in Texas. So it was fun. We did watch parties, and it was great, And at the time too, I had just gotten let go, so I kind of was like bittersweet. I was like, man, I want to win because I'm a fan, but I don't want to win because like I just missed all this stuff. Like I'm not an employee anymore. Right. I won't get a ring, maybe. I don't know. Like, mad about it. You know what I mean? Just a little upset, not too much, but just a little bit. So anyhow, it was a good thing when I moved home and kind of got away from all that situation and just saying like, all right, dude, like, you had a great time there. You've always been a fan. You're connected to that sport and to that team because of much more than just working there. Like I mentioned my dad before. So I was just like, all right, like, and I had this crazy feeling this year, like even like midway through the year, I went back up there for a couple games here and there. Like I was actually there for Hank Aaron weekend when they do this whole honor. They've done it for years, and we've hosted some cool events for that around youth baseball, like
rest in peace.
Kids, the top. Yeah, I know, right? But so this whole year they had number 44 in the outfield every game, like painting in the outfield. Hank Aaron weekend was like even super special because it was supposed to be all-star game this year. Well, they ended up obviously moving it. But on top of that, they had 2 projects they were doing from the community side, from the foundation side, and like MLB side that they were going to refurbish. And they actually turfed out 2 youth baseball, 1 youth softball, 1 youth baseball field at a park, like a inner city, predominantly African-American park. And they were great people. I used to work with them all the time, loved all of them. They knew baseball really well. They produced some great products. A couple of those guys that are actually in the Brave system in AAA, one's in, I think, high A or going to be AA this next year, and one of their top talented kids. So, but it was just cool because I got to go back and see that project completed, and Hank's wife was there, and, brand new turf fields at this park, and they're going to have 2 more built as well because the county's pitching in. And they're going to have a football field that's turf. It's such a cool, like, kind of setup for them. But that costs like $2 million. Like the Braves put some money into that, and MLB and, the county and stuff like that. So it was a cool thing to see. And that was August, I think, maybe late August, late July, early August. So then I I was there for that. Well, you know, the Braves weren't even 500 at that point. They hadn't broke 500 the entire season. And this is August, right? So they finally get past that point, and the trade deadline situation, like if you read on that stuff too, and Alex Anthopoulos, the GM, is a freaking genius. He's done some stuff in the years that he's been there to just, it's always been good. Somehow we think it's crazy and it's not a good idea, and it turns out to be the best. And he has won 4 straight division titles, just won the World Series. Like, obviously it works. But so he gets these guys, Rosario, he gets you know, Duvall back, which I love Duvall. Obviously his last name is
Duvall.
Like, we're all about it, right? So as we go, like, through the rest of the season, like, they make the playoffs, and all my friends are like, hey, you coming up for the playoffs? You coming for the playoffs? And I was like, I'm going to hold out until they make the World Series, because I have a feeling that they're going to make the World Series this year.
And it was a Reds player, right? Duvall?
Adam Duvall. Yeah, he used to be a Reds player. Yeah. So he's a cool dude too. He's awesome. Super nice, like, in a million ways. He's awesome. But so I'm glad I held out, because, like, I honestly didn't even have time to go to one of the playoff games, coaching and stuff. But I was like, all right, if they make the World Series, and it happened to work out perfectly where the Braves had the worst record, so they end up being home for the weekend games, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
I had things to do. I think it was Florida, Georgia weekend here. So I went to Florida, Georgia on Saturday, and I was like, I'll go up Sunday and then just come back Monday. So it was game 5. My brother and I drove up. I ended up buying tickets. I'm like, man, I used to.
Yeah.
It used to be the hookup.
I spent $500 a ticket, which actually ended up being a good deal for a buddy of mine. But because we know people that bought tickets for way more than that. But so we ended up going up to the game. One of my best friends up there, him and his dad were at the World Series games in '95. He's a ball player too, played at East Tennessee State, but he's from Marietta, so like right down the road from where Dansby grew up. But anyhow, so I go to his house. He's got a parking pass. Cool. We drive down to the stadium. So his dad's got this like 91 jacket from like the worst of first year. And it's super old school. We walk in with them. The environment from like a mile out of the stadium is already nuts. And we're walking in, and there's this guy, like this saxophone player, playing like Georgia on My Mind. And I'm like, oh dude, this is so much fun. Like, I feel so hyped right now, right? So we're walking up. It's a Sunday night game, so it's an 8 o'clock game, I think, 8:15. We're walking up. We're crossing the bridge that kind of walks you into the area where the stadium's at. And so the Battery normally pregame is busy, but it's not like standstill. We try to go like hang out in the Battery for a minute prior to going into the stadium, and it's literally like no one can move. Like, there's so many people there. Like, you get to like where the edge of
like
the
a Travis Scott concert
starts. Like,
oh my God.
They have extra screens put up and stuff, and I'm just like, holy cow! Like, we walked with some beers, so, and it's open container there actually too, which is great. But we were like, let's just go inside. Like, we have tickets. Everyone out here doesn't, so let's just go inside. Like,
right.
Because it was crazy. So we ended up going inside. I stopped by our little like employee section where actually my buddy Jimmy somehow ended up having tickets there, and he paid a lot less than I did for him. And I'm like, dude, like, I used to work here. How did I get this hookup? Like, this is crazy. So, and he's like, no, dude, like, I became friends with the guy that we played softball with that works for them still. And I was like, yeah, I know he got tickets through, but I'm like kind of jacked. I'm mad because like my old roommates wouldn't even hook me up, like, But it was cool. It was cool. So we got up there. I said hey to a bunch of people I hadn't seen in forever, and others that used to work for us. They all flocked in. It was crazy. It was so cool. So anyhow, first pitch was coming up. Brad and I are sitting the 300 level, like upper deck, left field, and we're like, all right, let's go to our seats. So, first inning, we make a couple really good plays to get out of the inning. I think Danzig throws like turn a double play or something, get us out of the inning. Well, we get on offense, and actually I'm wearing it right now. This is like a hoodie from like 19 spring training. I got hooked up by the clubhouse. Like, I don't know, those guys were cool. So they're like, dude, do you want something? Or, I was, yeah, cool. Like, if you have extra or whatever, cool. Well, some of this stuff was like worn stuff by the players. So there's a number in it, whatever. Well, the number that's in this one is actually 14, which wasn't Adam Duvall's number when he played for us originally. It was 23, I think. But this year when he came back, he wore 14. While I was wearing this hoodie, homeboy comes up, and I remember saying to Brad, I was like, dude, what if he gets he's a granny right here? Like, he's gonna go crazy, right?
Yeah.
Grand slam right field. everything is nuts. People were throwing, it was just nuts. The first inning, like, awesome. Oh, this game's in the bag. Like, we felt so good about it. Obviously, the next couple of innings go by, and we let up 2, and then we let up 2 more. And like, oh man, we're like right back to square one. It's nothing ball game basically.
Yeah.
So it was still a fun experience. I think Brad literally so he had my card. Kind of funny story. Like he's like, oh dude, let's give me your card. Like, oh whatever. So we're buying beers the whole night. It's like $15 a pop. And every time he walks away, though, good things happen. Like, dude, just keep going. Give me more. So just like, keep going.
Go give me a couple more.
Yeah. So, but we actually ended up getting a couple of people buy us some drinks and stuff too, which is cool. Like random people in the crowd. I don't know why they even offered, but it was awesome. So had a good time. Obviously they lost. But that environment was insane. Like I'd done that a million times over. And especially like the fact that they hadn't been there and, they hadn't been in the World Series since '99. So it was like 22 years, they hadn't won it in 26 years. Like, and there's no wonder that like the tickets were so expensive because you can go to a Houston game, you could fly to Houston, buy a ticket and spend less than you could have gone, stay at a hotel and probably spent the same or less than you could have gone to a Braves game at home because that's how nuts people were going over it.
Yeah.
And how long it had been, so
yeah.
I'm sad I missed the parade. Like all my friends were on all the buses and like having a blast. Like, but one of my quick story, the guy that was the interpreter for the team, my best friend, old roommate, he's just like freak athlete. Like you looked at him, you wouldn't think he was. He played basketball in college, but he's good at everything. Like it's like random stuff like Beersby. He can like catch the Frisbee and the beer bottle with the Frisbee at the same time. And you're like, dude, I drop both of those like all the time. Like I don't know what you're doing, but anyhow.
You're talking about a dog, right?
Frisbee, drinking it, right? He's good with a bunch of stuff though. Like he can play any game you put in front of him, he'd be good at it. Board game, whatever. He loves Monopoly. Anyhow, so really funny watching the parade that Friday, and Dansby Swanson, the guy that throws the last out, obviously the guy from Marietta, and Freddie catches it, whatever. A buddy of mine actually, when I was watching that game 6, was like, dude, like last out is going to be Dansby to Freddie. This was like inning 6 or 7. And like, so when inning 9 came and that happened, I was like, it's like, this is crazy. But anyhow, so watching the parade and everyone's throwing beers at the guys, like all the players and stuff. And they're like, most of them are just catching them. Like, they're kind of like, Dansby's freaking palming beers, bro. It's like catches them and he's like, holds them high. He's like, I got it, And so I'm watching it happen, and I like text my buddy. I'm like, dude, Dansby palming these beers all day long reminds me of you, and like some random game just catching something and like being proud about it and be like, yeah. So sure enough, I get this text like the next day because they didn't respond. All my buddies didn't respond to anything because they were like so crazy. The next day, he says that somebody caught this video of him palming a beer, like. And he like holds it up high, and I'm like, oh yes, like I knew there's a reason I like sent you this video, like. So it was a lot of fun. I ended up posting it to my story just for a day, but yeah, it was, dude. 10 out of 10 recommend. Try to go to a World Series sometime in your life if it's your team. 100% go to it. I had a blast. The fact that they won, I'm still kind of elated. You can kind of tell my excitement just over the call, I'm sure. So.
For sure, man.
I'm going up there soon. Actually, I have a wedding to go there up there this weekend. A couple of buddies that work in the clubhouse. So one of them's getting married. And then I'll be back up there, I think, in December. And we're going to have like a kind of a get together with all the boys and stuff. So it should be cool.
Awesome stuff, man.
I got one question. Did you have any relationship with Marcel Ozuna at Jacksonville before going to Atlanta?
Okay. Yes. Actually, cool. That's a great question. He was with the Suns for like 2 weeks, hit about 10 home runs, and was immediately out. Was immediately with the Marlins. Like, so when I was there, I think this was the same year that we had, Christian Yelich was there, Ozuna was there. There's a lot, dude. They were so stacked. So many of those guys, and a lot of them.
Mike Stanton came from.
Stanton was before he was Giancarlo. It was Mike Stanton.
Yeah.
He was the year before I got to the Suns. He had just gotten called up. So I missed him, but everyone else that was pretty much came from that time frame, Yelich, Ozuna, a lot of their pitchers, and those guys were pretty cool. Like honestly, they were cool dudes. But yeah, Ozuna was in and out, bro. He was so hot. He came in and was just smoking the ball, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we need you in the bigs." Because the Marlins, they that's what they do. They don't even. He didn't went to AAA. Like Yelich didn't go to AAA. Like most of these guys don't even go to AAA.
Yeah. They had another guy, Jesus Sanchez, this year. Jumped right into the league. So
they just yank those guys because they know they're good, and they're like, we're not waiting any longer. We need you. So
did he Ryan? Did he have a home run in the game that we went to?
So we went to the game versus Durham Bulls, which had
4 home runs in that game.
Wander Franco, their second baseman. I'm not good with Hispanic names, but he's badass.
Or names in general.
Yeah.
Apparently me either, Tyler.
Somebody hit a home run in that game, but I can't remember who it was.
Dude, there was like 4 of them. They crushed the Suns specifically had like 4 home runs.
Yeah.
Crushing home runs.
Nice.
I went and saw Clayton Kershaw pitch there one year. I saw Chris Bryant drop a bomb against us. But I mean, it's Jacksonville. It's fun to watch the minor leagues. You don't even know what you're watching.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
And then boom.
All of a sudden, that guy's in the bigs and is like a all-star, and you're like, holy cow, he was in Jacks for like a whole year, and I like.
Alex Rodriguez came through the Suns.
Yeah,
like I was there on a Thirsty Thursday.
You barely remember that, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about any of those games from Thirsty Thursday.
I know you guys got to move on to other stuff like football, which is what this is about. But I do want to tell one quick story of my buddy from the clubhouse, not the one that's getting married, but he's one of my buddies that I've kind of got to know probably 3 or 4 years ago. He was in the grounds crew before. Just started working in the clubhouse this year. So what a year to get into the clubhouse, right? He's like celebrating with these guys inside, and it's crazy. So he's just a character. I'm just going to show you, like, he had this. So every year for the last like 2 or 3 years, he would like post a pic after every win that he was like, oh, Dub Suds, like, like W, like Suds, like beer suds, whatever. And he like loves Miller Lite. So like a Miller can, like he created this t-shirt because he had this little t-shirt company that he kind of like redesigned the can. So I'm going to share my screen for 1 second.
Miller Lite, if you want to be a sponsor, and then we're open.
Yeah, I'll tell him I'm helping him sell some stuff, right? His company is called Harbor Traditions. He started out doing other stuff, but like this guy's a character, bro. Like look at his mullet. He cut the mullet recently, unfortunately, but he still is a character. But yeah, this shirt, he designed this shirt. It's like, it says Dub Suds, like that's a small dub there, and it says Suds, and then like inside this little logo, instead of saying like a fine Pilsner, it's like it says a fine victory beer. Like instead of a fine Pilsner beer, it's a fine victory beer. So he's just a cool dude. Like this is actually this is the battery behind him. This is part of the battery, which just kind of shows you how cool the setup is and stuff. The stadium's right here.
That's Hank behind him right there.
Yeah, right. 44. There you go.
He's wearing his own jersey.
Did you guys see all the cool numbers around like the fact that the Braves won 44 games before the All-Star break? They won 44 games after the All-Star break.
Didn't even know about that.
Yeah, Hank obviously wore 44. That's his number. Yeah. But then there was something else. Like I think that they thought it was this, but it was like actually one number off, that they were like 44 runs scored in the World Series. Wow. But I think it was ended up being 45 with Freddie's bomb and the final home run that he hit for 7-0. So anyhow, just this cool stuff though. I think you can kind of see that, like, I don't know, like Hank's sort of had a little touch to that this year, and our guy kind of ordained that to work out the way that it did. You know what I mean? So pretty cool thing for people to kind of have and remember about Hank, and this year kind of tied all together. So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
I wonder if that's why Jordan wore 45. He just wanted to up him. When
I come back like Jordan wearing the 4-5.
Jared, we're gonna talk about some football. Do you want to hang on, or do you
got to run? Why not? I got beers.
Yeah, you're a Florida fan, right?
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm a Gator fan and a Jacks fan, so I'm cool with
hang out with Tyler.
All right, so finally, we got a little even discussion.
So
let's just jump right into it. Right, jump right into the Florida Gators. So on Sunday, the Florida Gators,
a record-breaking game. Hold on, continue.
On Sunday, the Florida Gators played Florida State, and they won 71-55. It was a great game. Really pulled away there at the end. I was very impressed with how the Gators played.
A 13-0 run there at the end of the game. I mean, it was neck and neck, going back and forth, and then 5 minutes left. Boom! Florida took it to the house for the first time in 8 years.
Yeah. So it was great. We broke a streak. And it's gonna be good because I don't think I could handle losing in basketball and then again in football, which looks like it's probably gonna be inevitable. So
we'll take the football game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just joking around, obviously. Very similar score though, ironically, for the Florida Samford game. The Gators won 70-52. And at halftime, we're actually down. Going into half, they were down 42-35. But at one point, they were down 42-28. So I don't know what happened in that first half. The team that just was not ready to come play on defense. But luckily, they fixed whatever their issues were for the second half, and they only gave up 10 points in the second half, but continued to score. It's a year where it's just like we're just trying to get through it at this point. It looks like. I mean, we fired our defensive above water for a reason. We poor tackling, poor discipline, and just not being able to be in the right places. Even this counter run game is still continuing to kill us. Hurt us against. Started with LSU and seems like every game since they've been able to hurt us. Now it looks more like with the Samford game, it was some great catches. They have a guy, Washington, I guess is a really good wide receiver.
Never heard of her.
Quarterback. Yeah. Well, he plays for Samford, so would you?
Yeah, true.
But their quarterback was a little mobile and gave us a lot of trouble, and that's actually
Jordan Travis.
Right. So it's scary when you think about what we're gonna have to face at Florida State, and it's just crazy how the season's flipped.
Yeah.
To where we thought at the beginning of the season.
I was looking at the recap on like the score app or whatever, and so the quarterback's name is Liam Welch. They didn't even have a picture for him; it just said LM. But yeah, he had a hell of a game, and Emory Jones had an amazing game. So Emory Jones, 28 for 34, 464 yards, 6 touchdowns, 10 rushes for 86 yards, and another touchdown. So he was responsible for 7 touchdowns.
Inflated.
You would think that would be the performance that he would have against Samford, but obviously, no defensive coordinator. Tyler, I think you could have been calling the plays and done just as good on defense.
Well, definitely for the first half, because I mean, what is worse than them scoring on like every single drive? Plus, they had a kickoff return for a touchdown. So
onside kick and everything else.
Yeah, then they had an onside kick at the end, which apparently I heard that the coaches actually told them to watch out for it, and they still seem surprised by it. So
that's crazy. There's a positive me coaching travel ball on the weekends right now. I miss a lot of this craziness.
Especially the ones that
I didn't watch it. I'm just like,
TV.
oh Lord, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah. So my son's 6, and I was in the kitchen, and he was just like, "Do you know who Florida plays?" I was like, "They play Samford," and he was just like, "Who?" Like he was just so confused, And I was like, "Well, it's going to be a blowout. They're a smaller school. They will have no problem with them or whatever." And all of a sudden I just hear him scream, and he's like, Dad, it's 42-28. I was like, wow, they scored 28 on them. He goes, no, they got 42. I'm like, wait, hold on, what? Like, I didn't watch this game. Like, but that was kind of funny. But yeah, record-breaking point total, record-breaking, like most points scored.
Ever scored at the Swamp.
Time. Yeah, I mean, it was just like
crazy.
Boom, 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 boom.
Most passing yards of a quarterback's either since Peyton Manning, or he might have even broke Peyton Manning's record.
No, he broke. I think I heard on Frandy's show today he broke all kind of all kind of records. Like
I thought it was since the Georgia Southern game. Oh wait, they didn't complete the pass. Never mind.
Don't forget, y'all just lost to Jacksonville State this year. So.
We just missed the tackle. It's okay.
Right. Okay.
It's different.
Yeah. So that was obviously an eventful game, but you guys pulled it out. Tyler and Jarrod, Florida plays at Missouri next. You guys are favored by 8. So
wow.
That's crazy to me that we're favored.
Going to be a close game
at this point.
Yeah.
But,
So
we played so bad at Missouri all the time. We struggle with Missouri, period, anyway. But especially when we have to go there. Now, granted, they've had better quarterbacks in the past that really gives trouble. I don't know anything about Missouri's quarterback this year.
I couldn't tell you one quarterback that ever played for Missouri, to tell you the truth.
Chase Daniel.
Oh.
Yeah, Chase.
Well, I mean, come on. Jacksonville Jaguar, right?
Gabbert, right?
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He sucked.
You didn't remember that?
He sucked.
I thought you knew that. I thought you were joking. I thought you were being sarcastic. I'm like, yo, Blaine played for them, dog.
Yo, he's like undefeated against the Jaguars before the Jaguars. I don't think he's ever won a game. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got our number.
So my college roommate was from Missouri and was a big Mizzou fan. And when he came to Flagler is when they had Chase Daniel. And they were pretty good right then. They just got into the SEC or about to get into it, I think, at that time frame.
Not with Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel was
it was like right before they got to the SEC, though, right? Like it was like a couple years before.
Yeah. So Blaine Gabbert was a quarterback even. So he was a quarterback that followed Chase Daniel.
Yeah.
And Blaine Gabbert was even before they came over.
I thought it was.
I just know
closer
Michael
to that for some
Sam.
reason.
Yeah.
They were good when they had Chase, though.
I want to say Chase Daniel was around like 06, back when Florida got their first national championship under Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Second national championship, first one under Urban Meyer.
9 and 10 was when I played with this guy, so he was still there. So it might have been around the same time. Probably pretty close.
Yeah. So maybe 08-ish then.
Mike
Fact check it.
Zunino. Mike
Who?
Zuno, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Zanino or whatever.
Zanino.
Yeah. All right. So next game we have Jaguars at Colts. That was a kind of a heartbreaker, 17-23.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence did not look good at all. 16 for 35, only 162 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
Fumble.
But he did fumble the ball twice. He lost one of them.
That's the most important.
I think Jamal Agnew was our only. Yeah, he had 3 rushes.
Big
for
run,
79
right?
yards.
Had a 66-yard touchdown run or something.
Yeah.
Was
so that
0 for 5 in targets, but I mean that might have been Trevor. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, we continue to suck. I know the Colts aren't awful, but I mean they're definitely better than us. But it's still relatively a close game for a really poor offensive showing.
Sounds like they battled, man. Like being down a bunch too in the beginning. Like, they battled back and
17-0 in the first.
right.
So I quit
really...
watching it because I was just like, this is what I expect. You beat the Bills and then you're gonna get a letdown.
Yeah.
And then I kind of actually went shopping at Walmart, and that's when
Black
Gators went up
coming up.
13-0 run. And then I was like,
You're the problem. You shouldn't have left.
The Colts game, like, because it's not the Jag game. I go back to it and it's like, holy crap, like we're in the game. And so I got it on the radio, and they're just like, I mean, as soon as I tuned in, they're like, the best team on the field for the last 2.5 quarters has been the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they just gave up too much in that first part of the game. And I was like, damn, you know. And of course, they also mentioned that Trevor Lawrence is contributed 13 of the 15 turnovers this year.
That's
like,
brutal.
He's going through those growing pains.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was Urban Meyer talked about it before the season. Was that one of his reasons? I don't think he wanted to start. I don't think he wanted to start him to really start the season. And one of the reasons was because he didn't want stuff like this to happen and him to lose confidence. And
right.
I think CJ Beathard is better than him right now, just because he's got a year under his belt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he might be.
Yeah, he might be. It's just that, the arm talent's really hard to
right.
To overlook.
Yeah. Big difference there.
And I was really excited. We had the chance right there. It's like, could this be his moment? Could this be his moment?
That's
right
all
at the end
you
of the game,
wanted.
he takes us down.
220, go 80 yards,
Yeah.
scored a touchdown, win the game. Like 2 timeouts. I mean, it looked good. Like,
yeah. So then he fumbles and gives it up, and he's like,
got to the 45
too, but
before he fumbled.
on our side going in, right?
Yeah.
What was that?
We got the 49ers next. 49ers are playing right now, actually. Anyone know the score on that game?
They were winning 21-7 at one point, I think. They were it was live. I mean, they were doing everything right. I had a pick 6.
I saw that.
24-7 right now in the fourth quarter. So
damn.
Yeah,
business.
Jalen's pissed.
Yeah, him, OBJ. They got OBJ now, right?
Yeah. There's no way they're going to win. Like when you have somebody that has that many stars, Von Miller and Aaron Donald, and I mean, just the laundry list of all these
Derwin
great.
James.
They're not going to win. No, Derwin's with Chargers, but
my bad.
They're not going to win. I'm predicting. I'll book it.
Yeah.
And didn't I hear like betting on the Jags is like the most surefire way to make money, like knowing that they're going to lose like almost every week.
Like so, basically betting against them.
Yeah, like they're going to lose, so like you just like go with the bet essentially, like go with like what's like a surefire thing.
You go straight up or you go points.
I don't remember. I just remember hearing about this like a week or two ago, and I'm just like, actually, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like the Bills thing was probably a rarity. Obviously, they barely scored any points, but regardless, like.
I didn't book
like
it.
A surefire way to make some money.
I didn't book it.
Book it. You're right.
But I was like, the Bills game came up, and I was like, this is one of those games where the Jaguars will win, and it's like, this is why it's called the NFL, But I'm not going to book it, and then they end up beating them. I was like, damn, I should have booked it.
I wonder what the odds on that one were.
I think betting in Florida is now legal too, as like a week ago.
Only through the Florida State Seminole tribe. There's
only change. There's an app though. I think that I heard somebody of mine told me.
It's the Hard Rock Cafe, which is owned by the Seminole tribe.
Right there you go.
So eventually your DraftKings and everything else will end up eventually getting in, but as of right now, it's just through the Florida State Seminole tribe. With no relations to a football program, but he used the mascot.
Any more thoughts on the Jaguars loss or the upcoming game against the 49ers? I don't see us winning against the 49ers. It's in Jacksonville.
Where is it? So. Okay, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Kerry Kittles, that's a basketball player. The Kittle guy, George Kittle. He'll probably have a field day. Dan Aykroyd has been huge for us since we traded for him.
Dan Arnold,
yeah, that's an actor.
Somebody hasn't been listening to the podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed a guess. I should have kept my mouth shut.
Man, it always hurts when one of your best friends doesn't even listen to your show.
Yeah, I've listened to the first two. And I don't think I've listened
what was
to
all
six,
that?
So.
Oh yeah, you guys are great.
The first two, I didn't know you made. We're on episode 9. I'm like, damn, you made 9. Like,
yeah.
That's impressive.
One a week.
I'm psyched for you
quietly.
Guys. I told Adam.
We're not the best about getting them put out there, though.
You're good. I told Adam in the beginning, I was like, dude, like this could catch on. Like, this is kind of a cool idea. Like, backyard quarterbacks, like, bunch of dudes that are just like, we know some stuff and we're like cool with it, but like we're kind of really laid back and chill too, like not super serious. So I think we'll listen and have fun with it. So.
Maybe we should switch it to backwards quarterbacks because our viewing list has been going.
Hey, when you first started,
you guys, man, friends can only be so Facebook, supportive.
So he's gonna share this, and we're gonna get a lot of views.
There we go.
You know what? Yeah, I could do that.
We appreciate that. All right, let's move on to the game of the week for me and Hartle. It was Miami Hate Week. I think I've mentioned it. There's 2 games, obviously, every year. It depends on, how good we or they are. Miami and Florida. So we played Miami. We won 31-28. Great game, man. I mean, it was close the whole time. It was the most fun game I've seen us play this year. Just amazing game start to finish. I thought. Harder, what you got on that?
17-0, which they should have gotten in the damn end zone, make it maybe it should have been 24-0 at going into whatever. But there's just no, like, we've been here before. Like, it's almost like I couldn't enjoy it when we're up that big because you just know the collapse is coming, like something's going to happen, and it did.
Yeah, this is too good to be true.
We end up down 21-20 like that. And I mean, I'm probably not the best person to watch a Florida State football game with these past couple of years because I'm just negative as hell. So we're up 17-0. I'm talking shit. and then we're losing. You should be like, oh, at least I was right. And like, no, I'm even more pissed. But I think I really like kind of lost it in the fourth quarter when I guess there's some type of altercation. They started stomping on our
at
logo.
The beginning of the fourth quarter, they go stomping on our logo. You're not allowed to do that.
And then they focused on Manny Diaz. And I mean, out of nowhere. But here's the thing: we all we have is Florida fans. I mean, nobody really knows a Miami fan. If somebody says they're a Miami fan, they don't even like college football. They don't even know who the hell the head coach is. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not Miami fans. I mean, let Miami be number one in the nation. Don't know everybody on the damn team, but that hasn't happened since 2001.
20
20
years.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's been 20 years.
So it's like it's confusing because you're like you piss off the Gators by saying, well, the Miami Florida game is not as important as the Miami and Florida State game. I'm getting all the damn names wrong. Anyways, Florida State, Miami, you just say that to piss off Gator fans. But when that went down,
I would be like, yeah, obviously y'all play every year.
Yeah, we don't even care.
Yeah. When that went down and I saw Manny Diaz's face, like he was like just throwing his hands up, and then he's like stared at our sideline, just like, and I was like, bitch, you lost your job, and now you want to act like you have all your heart in this damn thing. Like I was, yes, I hate Miami worse than fucking Florida. Excuse my language. But
despite knowing
well, you
more
should.
Florida fans,
you
more obnoxious Florida fans.
Yeah.
Well,
personally,
Tyler, we're tolerable Florida fans. I feel like.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. But 4-14, like that's been a conversation here in Tallahassee, which there was a 4th and 14 against the Gators that was very important in 2013. And it was Kenny Shaw caught the ball and got leveled. I mean, I thought he was going to leave the game. It was just like a depleted reception, but he held on.
Right.
And that's been this like, doesn't matter if we're good, doesn't matter if we're bad. If we ever get in a 4th and 14 situation, you fucking go for it. Because we just we're getting it. Like,
I wonder if like the coaches know that, like the current ones, and they're like, oh, we're going for it. Like if this number comes up,
no way these coaches know that type of
I know we don't like to talk about Jimbo, but he started it. But yeah, we're continuing the trend. But yeah,
dude, they have the number 1 recruiting class now, I think, right?
Dude, I just started paying attention, and it's so funny because you can go to like all these different recruiting classes rankings. So you got your ESPN/Scout, you got your Rivals, you got your 247, and now there's this new one called On 3.
Okay.
And which
hit
And the first one I looked at was 247, and it was like number 1 Texas A&M, number 2 between Texas A&M and someone else, 90% going to Texas A&M, 3 committed to Texas A&M. I'm like, what in the hell? 5, between Texas A&M and Texas.
You're talking about the actual players.
I mean, just down the list.
Yeah, I was
Texas
like,
A&M,
they're
Texas
the top
A&M.
5 all by themselves.
I mean, but then you go to ESPN, and they got the number 1 defensive tackle who's number 2 overall, but then I don't see another player in 30 names. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's just funny how they all you pick the one you like the best. I feel like
you pick the one that represents your school the best, and then you're like,
well, I looked at recruiting.
They're the most unbiased.
Marvin Jones Jr., who's like not even in the top 100 in the ESPN. I think he might be like he's a 4-star in all of them, but he's in that 100 range. And then On 3 has him the number 1 recruit in the nation. So it's just, it's just like, I'm going for them right now because we got the number 1 and number 2 recruit, which he has not committed. I'm not saying he's coming to Florida State, but he's a legacy kid. We have not done good with legacy kids.
Why do you think that is? Like, what's wrong?
I think as a father of a black male father, is like, you do you. Like, don't chase what I did.
Yeah,
don't do what I did. I want you to make your own decision,
right,
and do your thing. And Devin Bush went to Michigan. Actually, they hired his dad to be some type of special coach.
Seems kind of weird.
Good job, Jim Harbaugh. Did you sleep with him too? And then Andrew Wiggins, the #1 basketball player. His mom and dad, that was a basketball player. His mom was a track player. Like, you're Florida State, and I'm pretty sure he was coming to Florida State. But when he visited Kansas, they did some illegal thing and said, "Hey, we'll give you an Adidas shoe deal." And guess what? Who he signed with? It was Adidas, and which is all Kansas.
NLI before NLI existed.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
NIL. Sorry,
we don't do good with legacy kids. There's a small. He came out after the game. He said Sunday 2 a.m. Look out. I'm thinking he's committing. He comes out with his top 5. His top 5 is Alabama, Florida State, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Oklahoma. And he wrote, "I'm going to a school that is red." So they're all shades of red, but the only actual red is Georgia.
Right.
And I swear I came up with this on my own. And I said, blood is fucking red, and he's going to come to Florida State.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
But I doubt it.
We can hope and pray.
Right,
but huge win for Florida State. And like I said, always feels good. I think that helps out a lot with our recruiting. Obviously there were some kids there. So they had to love the environment, and obviously a win is better than the loss. FSU next, we have Boston College at Boston College. BC is -2, so they're favored by 2. Would be nice to get a win. We'll see.
Yeah, we're still bowl eligible. We have to beat Boston College and Florida. You asked me the first 6, 7. You asked me last week. I'm saying we're losing everything. You know what I mean? But now it's like we're winning it all. We're going to a bowl game.
We're on top of the world, baby.
You know what I'm saying? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Florida's struggling right now. I don't know anything about Boston College, but I mean, I'll be interesting to see if Florida is because we keep getting favored despite how we play. So it'll be interesting to see if we get favored against you guys. But I mean, I have no.
What's going on with the AR?
So he got the concussion in the Georgia game, and then I guess it's so stupid, but
he's gone.
He hurt his knee. He hurt his knee dancing in like the team hotel
walking
before. Was it the Samford game?
Sounds crazy.
I guess maybe it was the same. I think maybe it was the same.
Could have been the game before.
South Carolina game. Yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah, I think it was the game before.
Yeah, so he hurt his knee there, and that's why he wasn't eligible to play or didn't play.
I'd rather have pull the Tulowitzki. Like, what was it? He was carrying groceries down the stairs and fell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so. I was dancing and just like got a little loose with it.
You could have told any other story. Like, you could have said anything else.
Yeah.
Well, plus, like you mentioned Hartle, you said he's gone. That might be like a fabricated injury. He might just be like, "I'm out."
Dude, I'm serious. Bro. I don't think he's going to be around.
So, and honestly, like, I mean, you couldn't have taken Emory Jones out in the Samford game because of how great he was playing.
7.
But in addition to that, like, we couldn't afford to screw up our rhythm and have Anthony Richardson come in,
right?
Because he comes in and maybe he throws a pick, or even he just doesn't get a touchdown. And every time, throughout the season that they've done that, where one comes in and then the other one comes back in, like, it hasn't worked out really well. And so we just couldn't even afford to do that in this game, which is annoying because Samford is the game you definitely want him to, especially if he's come back from an injury, to get in and kind of test that knee. So I don't know the way that Emory Jones has played, I kind of feel like we need to go with him, for the rest of the season. But then does that mean that Anthony Richardson gets mad and he wants to leave or what? So
yeah, I read an article.
If we fire Dan Mullen, then you're talking about quarterbacks. Like, I don't want to try to, prove myself for the next staff.
It's so successful. Just go wherever it needs a quarterback at this time, and
it is
until a top 25 team.
Right.
Like, oh, Oregon,
A
you need
team
a
that's ready,
quarterback.
yeah, on the
Oh,
verge, yeah.
whoever you need a quarterback. Yeah, I'll go there.
Right.
And they succeed, and then it's all she wrote. But yeah, I read an article. It was like it talked about all the quarterbacks that already hit the transfer portal, which Chubba Purdy's in there.
Yeah.
But the meat of the article was, all right, let's talk about the ones that haven't entered their name yet. And so Spencer Rattler for Oklahoma, which is labeled a trouble kid. But number 2 was Anthony Richardson. Number 3 was the backup for UCF. Supposedly he was the starter. He lost it, whatever, or got injured, and he hasn't been able to get back into it. Can't Florida State get another UCF quarterback? But I find it interesting that he was number 2 on the list of potential transfers.
Yeah. And I don't. It would be kind of silly to me because when he's come in, he's struggled. He's he had those 2 great games to start the season, but he's had those wow moments, and in LSU, he had some wow moments, but then he also turned the ball over. He had the same number of turnovers that Emory Jones had. So,
yep.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to say that he might not be happy because he's not getting to play, but he's actually gotten his opportunities and he's not performed. So I don't think it can be a situation where he's like mad that he's not getting his opportunities, because I think he's gotten them this year. He is a redshirt freshman, so it's not like he's a redshirt junior still trying to earn a spot.
If you brought out like baseball analytics to it, like under pressure, I'm sure his shit looks terrible. Interceptions left and right, completion percentage, he's throwing it away, or he needs to learn how to throw it away.
Well, not picking up like obvious blitzes or something like that. And
it's kind of what we're going through with Trevor Lawrence, but he needs those experiences to learn. It sucks. Yeah. But how's he going to learn that? You just don't play him, and he becomes Cam Newton next year in NCAA football. I mean, I guess
that's
it
the
happens,
problem with,
but
in college football especially, is that we've got a guy in Emory Jones who maybe is a little bit, but I mean, Emory Jones has still got. This is his first year really being the starter.
And he's gonna come back next year.
And he's definitely coming. The only reason he wouldn't is if it sounds like Anthony Richardson's going to be the guy, and then he leaves that way.
Right.
I guess
so. Either way, it sounds like we might have a transfer guy.
A messy situation.
Yeah.
And
they might both leave.
We're further behind. I mean, the only reason why I would say definitely
good for y'all.
Anthony Richardson stay over Emory Jones is because Emory Jones has got one more year, and Anthony Richardson could potentially have more. He might have one if he had a fantastic year next year. But
right.
Well, I feel like one thing too about I've heard this again. Listen to this Frank talk about stuff. It's like, man, it kind of sucks for AR. Like his only start this year was against Georgia, who is freaking dominant.
Yeah.
So it's like
there's a gap between Georgia and everybody else.
There's a huge gap, obviously, right? And so he, even though he's played these other games and he's had these moments to have an opportunity, and he's shined, I think, in some of them, he didn't in others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the majority of his time that I think has been judged, or at least in my opinion, and I haven't again seen most of his games, thankfully, because they've been bad, but he hasn't played that much, as much as he could have, or at least against Georgia, that was his only start and played the majority of the game, or the majority of the first half, or whatever you want to call it. He
played a lot against LSU. It's just he came in, too late. We were down
scored 4 straight touchdowns.
That was the one game I sat and watched.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if that dude played the whole game, that's a different ball game. We won that game, no problem. No
Same with
question.
Kentucky. You put him in Kentucky. I don't know. Was he injured then?
Yeah,
he was.
Yes,
so,
he was. Yes.
Yeah, he was injured against Kentucky. But then if you look at the next game, South Carolina. If you look at the next game, South Carolina, after Georgia, so we had Georgia and then South Carolina, Emory Jones had to come in.
Yeah.
Well, I missed that.
No, I guess I'm sorry. It's Georgia because he got a concussion.
Georgia.
Emory Jones came in, and actually Emory Jones had a better game against Georgia.
Yeah. Towards the end of it, yes.
Yeah, when they benched all their starters.
Yeah, I don't think they benched all their starters.
Their bench would be starters at
number 99
or Florida, right?
I think this is the year for Georgia sports outside of Atlanta, Falcons because they're just not
Book
great.
it.
But
Yeah. I saw
Atlanta
Bulldogs.
Hawks.
I saw a meme on
the Hawks.
the
Yeah, the
internet.
Hawks.
Trey Young.
The Hawks have been good for a couple years.
Yeah.
But
Saw a meme on the internet that said, "Dear Lord, I'll happily trade a World Series championship for the Braves over a Georgia championship for the Bulldogs." And I'm like, heck yeah, I'll take that.
So I was actually a Braves fan growing up because of Deion Sanders. I mean, that was my guy. And I loved Ron Gant, Jeff Blauser, just Terry Pendleton, Otis
TP's
Nixon
awesome.
looking like a crackhead was awesome.
He's still cool though.
Brian Jordan.
Jordan was football player. Brian Jordan.
BJ, great dude. Yeah.
So I mean, just a fun team. But same thing with I like to compare it to Dale Earnhardt. Just everybody and their mother loved the Atlanta Braves. Everybody in that. Yeah. Who's your favorite baseball team? And then who's your favorite NASCAR driver? It's like I learned to hate these teams because I couldn't argue with nobody with them. You know what I mean? So it's like when JD Drew was my favorite player of all time, like
FSU.
Almost homosexual. Like I still have an email address. It's JD Drew in Duval. But when he got selected by Philadelphia, sat out the whole year, got drafted by the Cardinals. And I remember buying like AAA baseball, EA Sports. And I was on it. And that's when McGuire hit his, went through his huge ordeal. You got Nelly coming out with, downtown baby. Everybody's a St. Louis fan, as in Nelly
Which
fan.
apparently has nothing to do with baseball.
Well, actually, in his video, if you watch it, the second baseman, what was his damn name? You messed my train of thought up, Tyler. You damn Gator fan.
Let's payback for I think it was last week.
He was in their video of Fernando Vina.
Yeah, I think you're
third
right.
baseman.
Something like that.
Maybe he was second base.
He did make that song. Nelly played baseball. He made that song called Batter Up.
A batter up.
Yep.
I think he got drafted, if I'm not mistaken.
By the St. Louis Cardinals?
I think because he was fast. I think that was what.
He may have. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the Braves winning. It's like I do like them. They're my side team or whatever. If they're in the World Series,
it's my side chick.
But dude, I used to get pissed off them because you're going for them in the World Series in the '90s, and they were like the Buffalo Bills. You just couldn't win.
Yeah, they were there every year, and they only won one.
Right. And then
they were there 5 times in the '90s.
I felt that with Florida State because we didn't win our national championships until '93. But even Bowden was like, it's going to stay on my tombstone, But he played Miami, because nobody else would play Miami than we do, and just miss field goals like the Jacksonville Jaguars left and right.
Yeah, Florida took
them another 4 points. Going back to the Jaguar game. But anyways, we had that, like we were good, but we just couldn't win it, So, but anyways, congratulations, Braves. Awesome stories. It was really fun having you on, Jarrod, man. Just talking about all that, and I really enjoyed. I wish we can even spend more time on. I'm sure you got tons of stories.
Oh, random
did
stuff
we talk,
for sure.
Did we talk about how people get connected with walk-off charities or?
No, we didn't. And actually, I meant to full circle that one story about my buddy with the Dub Suds thing. His birthday was the day they had the parade. So I was like, what a birthday gift that was.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they had a parade for him. Yeah,
dude, that's a freaking day and a half.
He was soaking in some suds.
Oh, for sure. I got so many pictures of him. Like there's like champagne or beer all over him. It's hilarious. But
Dub Suds,
so walk-off charities, back to baseball and what I do now. You can get with us online, www.walkoffcharities.com. You can see what we do there. You can connect with us on social media. I run our social accounts at the moment. Walk off Jacks on Twitter, and then I think on Instagram and Facebook it's just Walk Off Charities. I did start a LinkedIn page for our company as well, or our nonprofit. It's just Walk Off Charities. So I think you have to have a full-time employee to do that. And me being the first one, was able to kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm full-time. This is a real thing. And here's, our page. So I haven't actually posted much to it yet. Again, this fall we have a fall program going right now, actually, with kids. It'll end in a couple of weeks. It's like the week after Thanksgiving. We're doing like a couple more games for the kids. We're doing a fall league. It's kind of developmental. About 90 kids across 2 different parks. Probably about 6 or 7 teams, 6U through 12U. Kids are having fun. Most of these kids are playing for the first time. It's cool because we collect some data on like just who they are, as a family and stuff, and a lot of lower income families and stuff. So it's cool to know that like we're serving the right people, and they're having this experience and this opportunity to play. So I love it, man. I'm so super blessed to be doing what I'm doing and like getting paid for it. So
I just want to ask because for one, I just want to say, so I've been coaching T-ball since my son started when he was 5. He's now 8. So I think this is like my 7th season actually coaching T-ball, and it is a lot of fun. I imagine coaching T-ball is a lot like coaching these kids who've never really played before, even if they might be a little bit older.
Yeah,
and it's just so much fun. If you do like baseball, if baseball was your sport growing up, to be able to get involved and see these kids and actually get to be a part of these kids' development and their appreciation for baseball, to see them kind of get to that point of like, I don't even know what this game is. And then to the point of like, they get some wins and they get excited about the wins. And then, you give them the game balls. And so it's all about like, oh, we're getting a game ball today. So it's just
popsicle
it's a lot of fun.
at the end.
I recently rewatched the movie Moneyball, and one of his lines he repeats in that movie a lot is like, how can you not be romantic about baseball?
Yes.
And I can tell you that is coaching little kids. I played myself. I played up to junior college, played for local junior college here, FCCJ, when it was FCCJ. And then really kind of got away from baseball when I was done with FCCJ. Soured on it a little bit, and getting back and coaching my son, not just really my son, it was like getting to coach all these other kids as well. And it really brought back the love for it, and I love it so much, and it's so much fun. It's so cool that you guys are doing that. So I'm glad that we got to have you on here and we got to talk about that, because
definitely.
To me, getting to coach, the young kids, especially kids who wouldn't even have an opportunity, because we run into that a little bit with the kids that I've coached my kids' teams. And it's just awesome to get to be you're the only one really in their life,
right,
who can really teach them about baseball,
right,
and teach them the sport. And that's really fun, and that's really exciting. And so it's an awesome thing that you guys are doing. And I really like that your charity that you guys have started. So hopefully people check you guys out. So it sounds like just we go to your website and we can learn about, how we can help out or donate or.
Yeah, we take used equipment. We actually we just started helping or having coaches this fall paid because we wanted to make sure we had some of the right guys in place and stuff. So it's a small stipend. It's not like what you would get paid probably for a travel team or anything like that. But we just wanted to make sure we had some people in place, and thankfully we have some support from some sponsors and stuff like that as well. But like every little bit helps. I mean, like I drive around town meeting people with equipment and like just doing stuff like that on a small level. And then, I turn around and give that stuff straight to a kid that didn't have anything, or, didn't have cleats, didn't have a glove, didn't have, a bat or helmet or whatever. And thankfully we do have a relationship with Major League Baseball and their RBI program, which actually stands for Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities, that they actually have a connection with another nonprofit that is called Pitch In for Baseball. They donate equipment to groups like us that are doing the things with the kids that need the help and need the support. And so we got a bunch of, new equipment from them, but we use those for our teams, as team kits and stuff like that. So it's been great. It's awesome that, you guys have had me on and let me talk about it a little bit as well.
For sure, man.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This baseball is one of those sports, like it's a failure sport, right? So it teaches you so much more about life and like, adversity and, trying to, become a better teammate or a better person, because like you have to be positive. You have to be like, resilient. You have to be like so many things in this sport that you don't have to be in other sports like basketball, football, like, it's a little easier for success. You usually have higher rates of percentage of completions or running the ball or whatever. It's a team sport. Like baseball is so individual, it's also a team sport, but it's so individual that
you have to perform.
It's failure, right? So you it's so much on your own shoulders. So it is cool to see, and me coaching where I'm at right now on top of the walk-off stuff, because I'm involved with that obviously very closely with the kids themselves, and I get to go to events and clinics and tournament and games and practices and stuff, and I see the kids, and they're like, some of them, very raw, very like haven't had a chance to play ever, but like I'm like, man, this dude's an athlete. Like, it's just teach him one thing. Like, he's good. Like,
And then they drafted Adrian Peterson. They draft all these NFL players.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we'll throw some money at you.
Yeah.
We'll teach you how to swing a bat. We'll teach you. Can't teach speed.
Right.
When I was playing, and I as we get older, we don't know as many kids who are going through that system. So, but we did at the time, when we were much younger. And it's like, if you got speed, they just take a chance on you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll throw maybe a little bit of money, but you're getting something to just.
Billy Hamilton, come here. Let me talk to you for a little bit.
Well, I feel like we all wish we had speed. Like,
yeah, golly. It didn't benefit me at all as a pitcher, but I mean, I'm taking speed just so I could get out there and run the bases.
I wanted to mention this. Just Arlington alone when we grew up. I mean, what's that, 2-3 mile radius? You had Rondet, you had Lake Lucina, you had Arlington Little League. I mean, baseball is so big in Jacksonville. I mean, without us having a professional team, it's like it competes with football or whatever, because it's so big. And it's just funny just knowing guys, from Parker, people from the other side of town, or they know these players, they know these names. They're like, that's my friend, or I knew him. Like, it's just dude, I saw him in the paper. He's badass.
Adam, do you and Ryan, just because you followed it, but they were a little bit older, so I don't know if Ryan you would have known. But Adam, do you remember Matt and Pat Rumble?
Yeah.
Grew up Bishop Kenny, right?
I don't remember if it's Matt or Pat. Bishop Kenny, yes.
Yeah.
Kenny, and apparently played at Florida.
Pat played at Florida, and then Matt played at Santa Fe.
And then Tony Ritchie went to Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were the same. So the same year. Okay.
I'm thinking so.
Pat's son plays on Ava's team.
Oh, that's cool.
And dude, freak athlete, runs like an absolute deer. And then so he's very raw. I think this is his first season ever playing, and he's 6. Because these kids start sometimes at 4 years old.
Oh, some families are just nuts about it. Yeah.
But he's got some older brothers, so I think it was kind of a matter of like, you can only have so many kids playing, and so he started at 6, and his development during the season was pretty cool to watch. But yeah, absolute deer, definitely going to be an athlete one day. But I just thought it was funny, since you obviously aren't in Little League, figured you would definitely know the name.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pat and Matt were on that Little League team with Bushers and a few other guys that went to the Little League World Series.
Were they
the senior team?
Yeah.
I got to look at that board again, because I go up there sometimes just randomly, but I don't know if I remember their names, but they probably were.
Well, I know this one guy, he has all the records. His name's Matt Douglas.
he still has the major league home run.
He'll let you know too.
The majors. What was the record? Do you remember?
I don't know.
How many bombs in a season? I know he hit like at least 12, which
I think that's 12 games. I was actually going to guess 12.
Yeah, dude, I think it was 12. Like, I think it's 12. Like, if you thought 12 and I thought 12, like, it's probably 12.
Yeah.
But
shout out
how many
Douglas,
did he?
Arlington legend.
Just to call out Matt Douglas. How many did he have in high school?
How many did he have in high school?
I think the same number as me. That was a pitcher, so I didn't even hit.
It's probably the same amount of completed workouts that he did,
Yeah.
in the weight room or something.
Has he watched one of these episodes, by the way?
He will now. I'm gonna send
Yeah,
it
he
to him.
will. We'll tell him, give him a shout out.
He's gonna have to listen to about an hour before he hears us.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, he won't make it. We'll just tell him 59 minutes.
Not our shortest podcast.
16 seconds.
Yeah.
Matt, your mom's hot.
Love you, Jane.
Love you, Jane.
Love you,
Y'all
Jane.
know her better than me, so.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Yeah, I think it is kind of running a little long. So, Jarrod, obviously, thank you again for being on, talking about what you're doing and what you've done. Again, congrats on the Braves win. If y'all don't have anything else, I guess it's a good time to end it.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Please, guys, go check out
Peace up, A-Town down.
walkoutcharities.com. Right,
Yep.
Jarrod?
Walkoffcharities.com.
Off Charities. Okay. Walkoffcharities.com.
Charities.com.
You said locked up.
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can get all the notifications anytime we have a podcast. And thanks for watching, guys. Love you.
Yeah,
Love you
man.
guys.
Love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.